So, the things that I wish I knew before playing Warcraft Rumble, and now those of you that watch me regularly might think, I've been playing Warcraft Rumble a while, this isn't relevant to me. You might find that some of these things are quite useful, and I would recommend that you watch them. There are timestamps for each of those individual talking points in the description below, so make sure you go and check out the chapters to see certain areas that you think you could learn something from. Now, for those of you that don't know me, I've been playing Warcraft Rumble for about 4 months. I played before it released globally in November. I played for about a month and a half before that, and I've been playing since the global release, and I've basically been doing almost daily uploads about Warcraft Rumble since then. Kind of got to the point where there isn't as much to talk about until we get some new content, but I wanted to do this video because there are lots of things that I wish I had done better ever since starting, and that's what I kind of want to focus on here. And now, for those of you that don't know me, I've played a lot. I put a decent amount of money into the game. I've got every single mini at least rare. I've got quite a few epic minis to work with as well. I technically have a deck that can beat Onyxia, but I haven't put enough effort into trying to beat Onyxia just yet. It's probably going to be on my list this week. And I've played a boat ton of PvP. I've got 13.3k. I used to be somewhere near 15k, but I tanked about nearly 2,000 honor trying stuff out. But I've got a lot of experience in PvP as well, so I've played a lot of this game. And let's start off with the first thing that's worth talking about, and that is Arclight Energy. I'm going on to the dungeon screen because it shows you how much Arclight Energy I've got right now. But when I started the game, and you'll find this quite quickly as well, when I started the game, actually Arclight Energy upgrades were even cheaper from nothing to uncommon and uncommon to rare than they are now. But Arclight Energy is one of the most interesting resources in the game. It's an annoying resource. When I was sort of upgrading my collection to rare, I had probably in the region of 40 to 50k Arclight Energy, and I thought there's absolutely no way that this resource is going to get drained. And they made a change in the beta where they made it so that if you want to re-roll an army slot, it costs you 250 Arclight Energy. And when that happened, I thought, great, I can actually I'm never going to run out of Arclight Energy. I'm just going to spend it to go and re-roll a load of slots to try stuff out in decks, etc. Wrong. This is my number one first takeaway. Don't flitter or whatever you want to say your Arclight Energy. You will find as soon as you get to the stage where epics become a discussion point for you, you will need that Arclight Energy, and you will need a lot of it. It's 8,000 per mini to upgrade to epic. And yes, there are big other gates like the 25 stars and the need of an epic core that you need to get in order to kind of upgrade. You can notice that I've got 0 epic cores right now, and that is because it's another talking point that I'm going to come on to later. But ultimately, don't flitter your Arclight Energy away. You need it. You definitely need it. And the really annoying thing about Arclight Energy is it's only attained through dungeons. You can only attain Arclight Energy through dungeons. So it is a finite resource. Eventually, you're going to get to the point in dungeons that you can't actually get any more of it. And then it becomes a situation where you need to buy the Arclight Energy in the shop, which is pain in the ass because you want to use your gold for other things. And that's where the dilemma comes in. The dilemma comes in of, do you use your Arclight Energy in the grid, or do you use your gold in the grid, or do you use your gold to purchase Arclight Energy for upgrades? And so it becomes very expensive to upgrade your collection. And Arclight Energy is one of those resources that you actually want to have as much of as you can when you come to that epic discussion. And so that's something that the first thing that I wanted to point out is just that Arclight Energy is really important. Don't randomly re-roll deck slots. Make the best use you can of the deck slots you've got. And then when it comes to upgrading epics, you'll have a bit more Arclight Energy to work with. And trust me, you'll thank me later for that, because it's something that I didn't do, and I wasted my Arclight Energy, and I've had to buy more to get that upgrades, to get my units upgrades to epic. Now, I kind of alluded to this earlier, epic cores. You might think, especially as you kind of go through the game, you pick up epic cores here and there, you might think that they're quite easy to come by. Epic cores are very difficult to come by, and as obviously a legendary cores. But I've got a lot of rare cores. Rare cores are relatively cheap, and when you see them in this shop, it's quite easy to pick them up, and I recommend that you would. But I've ended up with 13 rare cores that I can't use. You also get rare cores often as a daily reward. They are much more easily achievable than epic cores. Epic cores you can get as a PvP reward. I think you get them as a guild reward. I think you sometimes can get them. I don't know where else you can get epic cores from, but either way, you pick them up in some finite locations The only other place that you might see them is on the daily offers, and they are 1,000 gold. I would recommend, if you are serious about longevity of upgrading your collection, try to pick up epic cores if you have the spare gold and you see them in your daily offers chart, because they will be a big resource gate for getting your collection to epic. Rare cores, not so much, because you can find them in more easily farmable locations. You also get a rare core every time that you complete a heroic zone, so there are more rare cores available than you really need, and they are much more easy to come by. So you don't necessarily need to buy them from this area. But epic cores, this is one of the few areas that you can actually get them, and so it becomes really important if you are looking to upgrade your collection and take it that next step further, that you actually find those epic cores in the shop. So if you have the spare gold to do so, and I would not recommend that you buy epic cores over upgrading your collection through stars, but let's say that you have an excess amount of gold, you already have you have a lot of gold that you're kind of slowly working towards getting your collection epic, you very much want to go towards having a full epic collection, then yes, picking up epic cores in this daily offers shop is a really, really viable thing to do, because it's one of the few places that you can actually get them. And so it's important to know that if you see an epic core in the shop and you can afford it, you will make use of it somewhere down the line, and you'll thank yourself later for having picked them up when you could. And keeping on the theme of things in this shop, it may feel tempting to buy the experience tomes. And especially as you're leveling up your collection, experience tomes scale directly with your collection level. So as you can see here, my collection level is 46. So I get, in tomes, a set amount of experience from modest, major, mega, and mythic tomes. This is per selection, by the way, not in total, right? So it may feel tempting to buy them from the shop, but as you are progressing, these tomes are not the most valuable place for you to spend your gold. The reason being is that A, they scale up, B, your collection level is better increased by increasing rarities. So every time you increase the rarity of a unit or you unlock a new unit, you get 5 points towards your collection level. Upgrading a unit's level grants you 1 point. These tomes are almost never worth it unless you're just looking to boost and whale your collection. So if you're looking to kind of like whale your collection, and if you have an excess amount of gold to spend, the very top players generally buy these every single day because they need the experience. Because it gets to the point where your units are facing silly levels of experience needed to upgrade, and I think my Baron is nearly there. It gets to the point where your units are facing silly amounts of experience needed to upgrade, and the experience tomes are needed to get you over certain thresholds. A little breakpoint that is really worth noting: if I were to get Baron to legendary now, he would still only be level 9 in PvP. There is no point upgrading something to legendary until you've got more than 50,000 experience, because that is when you hit the level 10 threshold. The only point of upgrading a unit to legendary is to have it hit level 10 in PvP, realistically. Maybe that one level makes a difference in certain PvE scenarios, but ultimately most people use their legendary core to get a certain unit to level 10 in PvE. I don't even think I have a unit that I could potentially get level 10 right now. I'd have to have a look. These are level 26, these are level 26. No, so I don't even have a unit that I think is at level 27 right now, which means that I don't actually have a unit that could actually get to level 10 in PvP. But yeah, you don't waste your gold on these experience tomes. It can feel very tempting to do so, but they're very short-term gains, especially as you're leveling up your account. Your gold is much better spent in the grid, which is used for leveling up minis and gaining stars, etc. And speaking of the grid, that's going to be my next point. So the grid, there's a lot of things that you can do with the grid. But one of the things that I wish I'd known when I was doing the grid initially was how to efficiently use the grid. And that's what I'm going to just show you now. There is a very efficient way to use the grid to farm certain minis. You don't necessarily need to do this, but let's say that you have a lot of gold to spend. And I'm only moving it in, I'm only spending all this gold moving things around because I want to show you. But if you were to get the grid in this position and buy the top center mini, it is the only way to guarantee a full refresh. And I actually have a Jane Italics. I only got her to Epic today. It's the only way to guarantee a full refresh of the grid so that you get a complete new selection of 5 cards. There are some downsides to this that you should be aware of, but it is the best way to get specific stars as you want to farm minis towards certain thresholds. You'll find this is a great way to get most of your minis to uncommon, and it can be a really good way to get a lot of your minis towards rare as well. It becomes a bit more tedious and you have to spend a bit more gold when you're going towards the epic stage, but it is still worth spending time on. So, what are the downsides to doing this? The major downsides are you will never, ever see the bonus experience cards that you sometimes get. A lot of you may be aware that every so often you'll get a purple shape in one of the cards that grants bonus experience to a mini that you buy in the grid. Doing this method will mean that you never ever see those particular cards, which can be kind of annoying because as the game progresses, they can be quite a lot of gold in your favor. Quite a lot of experience in your favor. But this is the most efficient way to grind stars for particular minis. And for me, right now, especially with leaders, I'm going for Maiev because I can already get Tyrion and I've already got Jaina to epic. So if you have the gold, you do want to try and spend it on the leaders wherever you can. The reason being is that the leaders only show up on their respective weeks. If you're not able to get your leaders to a certain threshold in 1 week, you're going to have to wait all the way until the next time they show up in rotation, which is I think a 5-week rotation. So that's why I'm trying to get Maiev over the threshold this week, because I'm not going to be able to see her for another 5 weeks. And I'd ideally like to have the option of having Maiev epic, even though I don't have the resources to get her to epic. I'd like the option to have Maiev epic, which is why I'm doing it like this. This is the quickest way to cycle through to leaders. You may have noticed there's a bit of a pattern with the leaders that are appearing. Leaders will appear. I believe I'm going to just go through it now. So it's been 1 full refresh. We're going to do one more. We're actually going to use Holy Nova because that's going towards the epic threshold as well. It's been 1 full refresh, 2 full refreshes. There's Jaina, so I think we're going to get it on the next refresh. I'm actually going to buy Quillbore because he's probably the unit that I want to get to Legendary. So yeah, four full refreshes, and you end up getting back towards your leader. So we'll do it again. That's a refresh, 1 full refresh. We're just going to go with Polymorph, 2 full refreshes. 3 full... Actually, I think is it? Yeah, 3 full refreshes. It should be Jaina now. Yep, it is Jaina now. We're going to go for Blizzard. And then 4 full refreshes, and I should have Maiev back once again. So theoretically speaking, it's every 360 gold you spend on the grid, you should get the leader back, unless you're spending on some of the epics and commons. And one of the things that also you should be aware of, especially if you don't have the mini already at uncommon, if you see an uncommon and you don't already have the mini at uncommon, definitely buy it. It's a good value purchase. At rare, especially if it's a good mini, massive value purchase. If you see epic for a very good mini, I would recommend that you do spend the gold to purchase it as well, because that saves you so much gold upgrading that mini to a certain threshold. You very rarely see epics though, but this is essentially the most efficient way to use the grid. So I wanted to spend a bit of time showing you how to do that, because this basically allows you to get the minis that you want. I'm actually very close to Chain Lightning. I really want Skeletons at epic because they're actually just a really good card in general. There's lots of stuff that I have close to epic, but you can see this is just basically the most efficient way of me doing this. Really annoying that I want the stars on Safe Pilot. I'm actually going to prioritize Safe Pilot over Maiev here. Anyway, look, enough of the grid. I'll do this later whilst I'm getting a bit addicted to just refreshing the grid here. I'll do this a bit later when I'm not doing a video, but just wanted to show you the most efficient way to use the grid here. We're going to go on to our final point now. The final tip and sort of thing that I wish I knew is that actually to not ignore PvP. I think one of the things that is quite, and you can see on some leaders I still have ignored them realistically, but it's actually not unachievable to hit 3k on most of your leaders, right? Getting like to 3k means you just need to have some level 5 PvP minis, and a level 5 PvP mini essentially means you need level 13 PvE, which for most of you that have been playing even on a free-to-play basis, you should have a good array of minis that are at level 13. And if you're at level 13 and you have talents, you can compete with the majority of PvP players all the way up to level 3000. Level 3000? $3,000 honor. Why is this important? Well, actually, Wins in PvP grant you a large amount of experience for minis that are in your deck, more than playing quests if you win 66% of the time or something like that, and way more than doing PvE. So it's a good way to passively level up your minis, and if you do it across all of the leaders, there's a whole range of untapped experience that you can achieve by just playing PvP. A lot of people in the beta used to lose on purpose and then re-win on leaders to kind of farm experience for units in their deck. So it is, I think I get about 200 experience per unit per win, which is a really fantastic amount of experience, and it's a great way to level up minis. So it's kind of just one of those things to say, don't neglect PvP. It's annoying to play, not everyone enjoys it, but even for sort of PvE players, it's a great way to level up minis for your account, especially kind of focused leveling up minis that you like, you know, minis that you know are going to be useful, like Safe Pilot, Quillbore, etc. It's a great way to kind of focus on those. So just want to make you guys aware that it is a good thing to focus on. You get a lot of untapped experience by playing it, and across all of your leaders, you can get most of them to 3,000 honor if you just have level 13 minis in PvE. And those are the things that I wish I knew. And I wish I could go back and do differently. You might have noticed also, if you keen-eyed viewers, I spent a load more gold on the grid in between the last section and this section. Couldn't help myself. I just kept going. But there you go. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the content, and it sort of makes sense, and a lot of it is relevant for you. And I'll see you soon.